So let's just draw this tangle called Marasu, and it's a Zentangle Tangle, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, we are going to start in the middle by creating a spiral. Just going to be going around, making it bigger as I go. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a spiral. And I'm going to bring it around and just leave it kind of an open end. You'll see why. Okay, the next step that you want to do for Marasu is we are going to start kind of in the middle here, and we are going to create these lines, these circular curved lines that kind of go in and get smaller as you go towards the middle. There's one section. I'm going to leave a little space, and I'm going to create another one. Leave a little space, create another one. See how I'm just kind of making them wider at the top and narrow at the bottom? Could probably even leave a little bit more space. But this is, again, just something to relax, something you can do anywhere. And then pull into your journal later if you like the look of the tangle and want to use it. But I'm going to post some of these so that you can kind of have tangles you can refer to if you're looking for something to do when you do get your journal out. Remembering, journaling doesn't have to be like this big, huge, complicated thing. I pull out my journal and I may have an hour, I may have just 10 minutes. But the point is, I keep releasing that creativity and keep working on various pages in various journals. And you'd be surprised. They fill up very quickly and beautifully. So it can be something you do just sitting in a waiting room, or if you have a few quiet moments at home, or just having a cup of coffee. It's just something relaxing to do. Now as I'm talking, I'm not paying attention and I want to keep it wide on top and thinner in the middle. Wide on top and kind of thinner in the middle, because it's going to give that effect of like wrapping around. And I'm just going around the entire tangle. Yep, cannot talk and do this. That's how much concentration it takes. And it takes my mind that is very busy right now, just kind of slows it down. Because really, when I'm doing this on my own, all I can think about is just the next stroke, and I know exactly where it's going to go. It's as easy as this. Okay. Now I have come to the end, which I think I'm going to put one right on the end here. But I'm going to make it small because I want to darken it and just kind of have it like an opening. You'll see why. So that's what your spiral looks like. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take our PN or our 1, and we're going to fill in these sections. So I'll fill in one here. Just kind of curving it around. Make sure you cover up all of that. And at the end of it, if you still see some open space, you can always go back and get it. Cover it again, or just fill in those spaces. Okay, I'm going to turn my tile, and I'm going to go to the next one. I also have a Micron brush pen that would work much quicker for this and fill these in easier, but they're harder to control. So really, if you're just starting or you're just doing this for relaxation, you know, I recommend using those only when you are, you know, you have good dexterity and control, and you want to do something, you know, quicker. But it's easy to make mistakes with those. They are like a brush. They have a longer tip, and I have one at my other desk. But I was just simply feeling a little bit of overwhelm with all I have to do right now. And I thought, this is what I do. When I feel that overwhelm and I need to slow down my brain, I will simply pull out a journal and create a tangle that I know and tangle away. And I tend to find that I'm much clearer after I do that, and especially when I'm not talking and trying to do it, but simply for the meditative art. It really is one of the best tools that I've found. Okay, turn your tile or your journal and do it again. Just fill each of these up. Structured patterns are so interesting because it's different than just drawing and trying to figure out how something would look. Structured patterns are a beautiful way. Your brain knows what's coming next, so it just simply follows the motions. And not to say that any given tango can't get more involved or more beautiful, but if you're going strictly for relaxation, I really would suggest giving this a try. There's so many tangles. There's ones easier, there's ones much harder, there's tangles that require a lot of focus, there's tangles that require very little. So I definitely recommend, if this tangle isn't the one for you, just pick another tangle. And that's what I hope to do, is build up a library of different tangles that I've done. And then I will have a playlist of content of journal pages as I'm working on them, and I will show you how I add to them. But like I said, I never complete a journal page spread in one sitting, and I may go to a different journal depending on what I feel like doing that day. But the important part is that I take time to journal and use that, creativity in other areas of my life. It's a way to slow down. Our life is so busy right now. So much is getting thrown at us. I mean, if social media, the news, the things we have to do and accomplish, I cannot believe how fast life is. And this is just a way to totally unplug. No electronics needed. Now, I will do some demos. Let's see, I want to pay attention. I'm doing this one. I am doing, actually, because I was talking, I skipped one. Oh well. You know what? It's not a big deal, because what I'll do, there's no mistakes, right? We try to figure out how to solve it. So what I'll do is I'm going to create one right here. And don't worry, they'll separate once you see what I'm doing. But that's the whole idea. If you make a mistake, you work your way around it. There are no mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities. So maybe it'll look better. Okay, so now I want to recover, let's see, this one. So now that brings me to this one. And I'll just get a bit of a different look. It's no big deal. Alright, so I'll let you go around and finish coloring those black in between every other one, all the way around your spiral. Wait till you see how this transforms. It's really beautiful. And also, you can just put it down if you get interrupted and need to attend to something. You can put it down so easily and come back to it. And these few simple supplies will fit in. I have so many of these little carrying pouches that I'll just put a few supplies in, so that I always have, a way to tangle and provide that bit of relaxation should I feel the anxiety. Again, no worries. I went off a little here. Don't worry about it. It's not gonna show. And I know I'm definitely going to be using this tangle on one of my journal pages because I just love the look of it so, so much. And I'm going to add some other details to it. But this is just the base tangle called Marasu. And I do love it. Just keep turning and going around. There's so many things to do with a tangle. Once you've learned one, there's so many ways to change it. When I'm using it as a meditative art form, I tend to just stay with, the pattern as is, which doesn't require a lot of extra thought at what can I do next. That comes, and if it does, great, but you're not forced to come up with something, which is what I really love about using this for anxiety. And it works really well even in a situation of a panic attack. I'm pretty open with the things I've dealt with. I have severe PTSD. I never in my life had panic attacks until right before I fell into a severe depression. I was just trying to keep going, and it all caught up with me. And my depression was debilitating and definitely almost cost my life. Not in the way of, I didn't, try to hurt myself, but I was literally wasting away and very despondent. I lost interest in everything I love to do. It was a very sudden onset, and it took years of different things to get out of it. I didn't think I was going to get out of it, but my husband and my family would not give up. And I have tried every medication. It was considered to be resistant to medication, probably because the situation was kind of an ongoing thing that just kept happening and shocking me every day, and my body just could not handle it. And so, I mean, it got down to even, ketamine treatments, which did absolutely nothing for me. The prescription one, that's the only one I'm familiar with. It did nothing for me. So, and I was on the maximum dose for 7 months with a doctor who would treat soldiers coming back from, war, to be dealing with PTSD. And it did nothing. It did nothing. So after 7 months, I just quit that, and, he had kind of given up and said, his next recommendation would have been electronic shock therapy, and I was in so much pain. I was actually open to it, but my husband, my mom, my family, they would not hear of that, and I'm very grateful today. But I've never experienced pain as far as how am I going to go on like I did at that time. And to be where I am today, didn't think it was possible. So Zentangle is definitely, once I learned the method, it has helped me cope with my anxiety and my stress and my PTSD. It's not the only thing that helps, but it is a very big piece. I went through years of therapy and, trying to learn how to cope with the situation that is unpredictable and ever-changing. So I'm not saying Zentangle is the only thing or a replacement, but I'm saying it is one of the tools that has helped me so much. So I encourage you to give it a try. You don't have to be an artist. I just happen to be an artist, but that's not where Zentangle comes in, into play. I mean, I do take Zentangle, I do take some of my tangles and embellish my artwork, but I do Zentangle for the relaxation, and it doesn't require any of my artistic knowledge, or in fact, it breaks the rules of a lot of my artistic knowledge. You don't have to think about where the light's coming from. You don't have to, think about, proportions and just various things where your picture's going. You just have this pattern and you know exactly what you're going to do next. So, alright, so I've got those somewhat complete, and I might go in and just touch them up and make them a little darker. But the next thing we are going to do is we are going to grab our gel pen, and we are simply going to start back at the beginning, and we're just going to make a light line on either side of our black shapes here, kind of following the curve. Be careful not to smear, as it's drying. And these Sakura gel pens, they really, just a light touch, they just do the job so beautifully. Never shake these. Never shake it like you're trying to, get the ink moving around. That's not required. But they are recommended that you store flat and don't store in an upright position. So those are just a few tips. If the pen seems to get clogged up or something, just take a piece of paper and just kind of, run it over and get it working again. Okay, so I'm just continuing to go around and make these aura lines, or simply outlining, just drawing behind, putting one on this side, one on this side, one on this side. Just going till I come to the end. Right here. Okay. And I think actually I'm going to go back in because I noticed that there's a little space for one more black in the middle. So I think I'm going to put one like right here. That one's easy to fill. Okay. And then be careful because this is wet. Put my line here, here. I would say that's good enough. So that's where you're going to end. Now I'm going to let this dry for a second, because what we're going to do next is add the shading, and you're going to see some really dramatic changes. Okay, this should be dry enough. Now I'm going to come in with my 2B or B pencil. Make sure it's soft, a soft lead, and also make sure it's sharp. I'm just going to use the side of my pencil, and I'm going to simply shade here and at the bottom of each of these little sections. I'm just going to quickly, normally I would go around and shade these first, but I want to show you when you take your tortillon and you start blending that out, look how beautiful that is. It just kind of makes it pop off the page. Leave some white space in the middle. Where else did I just do them? Right here. I might go back and pick up, retouch up the jelly roll where it gets covered, but we'll see. But look how that makes a difference and how it stands out. And we're going to even add to the brightness by using our white chalk at the end. But for now, that's the goal. Let's simply go around and shade. these edges so it looks like it's tucking in as you go around. I love this tangle. It's just fun to create. And that little mistake is gone. So it wasn't a mistake. Sometimes what I think is a mistake turns out to be something of my favorite part of the tangle. It requires me to kind of think out of the box and do something I wouldn't have thought of. And sometimes it becomes my favorite part of the tango. So again, don't get wrapped up in, oh, I shouldn't have put that line there. It doesn't matter. One is you're getting the benefit of meditative drawing. You're not trying to get perfection. You are simply creating a tango that's going to be beautiful no matter what. And it'll be different each time. No two are ever the same. I can draw a tango 100 times and it will always look different. And I love the break of not having to pay attention to what I'm drawing or a particular, you know, illustration or shape or whatever. I know this tango. So I kind of, even though talking, I'm not doing as well, but I know this tangle and I know what I'm supposed to do. Not even supposed to, but what to do next. Okay, so I did not get these inside ones, so I'll go back and get those. Everything. Doesn't matter if I didn't, I can go back and fix it. So now I'm just going to use my tortillon and I'm going to use the side of it and blend it out so that I get that shaded effect. I see that I didn't shade this one, but it doesn't matter because there's graphite on this tortillon, so I can just kind of fill it in. No big deal. And again, remember, just leave a little bit of white. You know, you're spreading out your graphite from dark to light, but you're leaving a highlight in the middle. We're going to re-emphasize that highlight with our white chalk, but just try to leave a space there. If you do cover it up, you can always go in with a kneaded eraser and lift it out and get some of that white back. There's always a way. Now this one, yeah, see, it's a little covered, but that's okay. Gonna deal with it. When they get smaller, it's a little hard to keep that graphite just in that one area. And I'm just going to shadow right here, just a little bit. And it looks like I've got all of them. So that's where we're at right now. All right. So now we're ready for our white chalk. And this should be a little bit sharper, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to run my white chalk over those highlighted areas just to make them pop a little bit more. I could have run my jelly roll over these a little bit more, but I just decided not to for the sake of time. Now, if you decide to spread the jelly roll graphite or blend it out, you want to make sure to use a clean, don't use your graphite tortillon. Use a tortillon that you dedicate to only white chalk, because otherwise you're gonna, of course, darken it with your graphite one. So you can spread this out a little, but just make sure that you don't use the graphite tortillon. I'm just kind of working in a circular motion. And see how it brings back where that one was completely covered. It just brings it back a little. And if I were working in my journal, I would be turning just as I am on the tile. It's much easier when you're doing tangles to keep turning. Keep your hand in a comfortable, relaxed position. Otherwise, things get awkward. And it's easier to draw too, just when you're turning your paper, your tile, your work. If I'm working on something larger, you'll see me use a kind of a spin. Can't think of the word right now, but a mat that, a spin, a rotating mat. And I might just put a little bit there. Okay, so look how that is developing. Isn't that pretty? Okay, now for the final thing, I do want to go and I want to darken these lines, kind of redefine them, make them jump out even more. Just gives a little bit more polished, finished look and depth to your illustration or your tangle. And at this point too, I see some pieces that in here that I could fill. You can go back and darken up anything that you might have missed and needs a little bit more ink. Whatever you want to do is fine. See how it just gives it a little bit more depth? Okay, I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna show you just one final touch I do. Okay, to bring out the highlights in the black and just add a little bit more depth, I'm gonna take a white gel pen. Um, they come in the in the in the jelly rolls too. Just be careful when you dot. It does not need a lot of pressure at all. Today I use my jelly rolls too, but today I'm using a brisk. And this one is believe it's a 1.2. You could use it just depends how thick you want your dots, but you could use a point oh 0.08 or 0.05, whatever. But notice how I'm going to go, and I'm just going to add, it doesn't take much pressure. I'm just going to add little dots to kind of make the black, give it a little highlight around just in the middle, following that circular motion. I'm definitely going to use this tangle in my journal, but I'm going to do a lot more with it. But this is just a basic, quick demonstration of Marasu by Zentangle. Keep turning. And don't touch the white. It'll smear until it doesn't take long to dry. But just be careful. You don't want to smear it. Although you can just cover it up with black and let that dry and do it again. Very forgiving. But just that little bit adds so much more to your tangle. That is it. Maybe I'll do one right in here. And that is it. And that is the Simple Tangle Marasu. And I did do one in just, a journal that I just kind of, put various tangles in and ideas of what I'm going to do with it. That's it. That's Marasu. So keep tangling. Wishing you lots of love. This is Lori. Till next time.